Hi, this is Larry from PhotoMeLarry, and you're listening to 10 Minutes of Film Podcast. Hey guys, Larry here. This is the inaugural episode of 10 Minutes of Film. I'm sitting here with my 10-minute timer. I'm going to hit play, and we are off. So before I get into any details on what this episode is about, let's talk quickly about what I'm doing here. On the PhotoMeLarry YouTube channel, I want to expand my offering. I did a podcast previously on Spotify. We made 2 episodes, and I had a lot of fun. I want to revisit the format, but I don't want to produce an hour of content, so we're going to kind of boil it down to 10 minutes of film. And that's exactly what we're doing here. This podcast is going to give me an opportunity to speak to something that I love very, very much about photography, which is specifically film photography. 10 minutes of film, as you guessed it, is my little corner of the internet where I get to sit down and just talk about film photography and film photography related things. And so this week, I wanted to kind of offer some thoughts to photographers about what I'm noticing happening between Kodak and Fujifilm in regards to where I see the 2 companies positioning themselves in the film marketplace. So let's start with the obvious. It seems like Kodak is the #1 producer of film in regards to popularity. I can't think of a brand that has more die-hard support for their film stocks. I'll explicitly talk Portrait 400, 800, 160. That lineup of film being known as like king of the crop premium seems to be the wave, seems to be where everyone's hearts and minds are set. Generally speaking, I'm trying to represent a general photography audience here. It feels like Kodak kind of has the crown there in regards to being the most popular, most supported, most sought after color film photography brand that puts out their film stocks. And with that, even if they say, oh, the pandemic supply lines is the reason why we're raising our prices and we're trying to get film production back on track, we can't ignore the fact that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, film photography wasn't bad as a price point as an American citizen. Again, I'm speaking from my personal experience here. I happen to live in California. And I know that you could get a roll of, let's say, Kodak Color Plus for about $4.99, maybe about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You could get a roll of Portrait 400 for about $11. Now, I would die to find Portrait 400 for $11 a roll. You know what I mean? You could get the whole pack for 40 something. Now, I think the price, when the pandemic hit, I think the prices started to creep up about $16 a roll, $18 a roll. Now it's just crazy. You're paying, I think, $80 something for the 5-pack of Portrait 400. Kodak has raised their prices on color film. They've taken away their multi-pack discounts. They're doing everything they can to kind of either shy people away from buying film photography or getting all the broke people out of film photography. But that really got me thinking. And so here's the topic and my thoughts on it. It's called positioning. Because in order to say that like Kodak is kind of chasing, let's call it premium level color photography offerings right now, because they don't have what I would consider an inexpensive option for color photography. Their Color Plus is now $14 a roll, $13 a roll. The $4 film stock, nothing changed about it other than its price is now $14 a roll, i.e., Portrait prices from 5 years ago. So we're looking at a comparison where your cheap entry-level film stock, you're supposed to be casual audience 35 millimeter film, is now priced at premium level. Every color film that Kodak makes with Kodak box branding is at, let's call it a premium price point. And then the premium is now ultra premium, because I think that if you were previously paying $16 a roll and now you're paying $18, $20 a roll, we have to make a new category and call it ultra premium. And so Kodak seems to be positioning themselves that way. But they have thrown us a bone, because when we look at Fujifilm discontinuing some of their film stocks, and then secretly behind the back, wink, wink, handshake deals and drunken alleys that we don't get to see where the business goes down. It seems like, according to the white papers about all the film stocks, the technical documents, it looks like Kodak is actually stepping in to help make Fujifilm. So the new Fuji, what used to be called C200, now it's just Fujicolor 200, is produced by Kodak, and it has all the signs and trappings of Kodak Gold. And now, same thing, Fuji has discontinued another 400 color. I don't think it's Superior. No, I think it is. Is it Superior? Sorry, I should have done some research. I got 5 minutes, but here we go. So Fuji discontinued their 400 film speed as well. And Kodak, again, is stepping in to supply film there. And so most people that I've seen online, it seems like they're saying that this is going to be a rebranding of Ultramax. So you get Ultramax 400 if you're buying Fuji 400, and you're getting Kodak Gold if you're buying, Kodak 200. But the price point is actually different. So when I was buying the Fuji versions of the Kodak films, I would always find them at a few dollars cheaper than the same Kodak option. Now, that might just be markup from third-party retailers and also supply and demand, but I am noticing that Fuji is kind of coming in, at least trying to take that standpoint of being the, let's at least call it, close to consumer pricing, where you're able to get a roll of film for $11 a roll. I'm not seeing the $5 a roll color film anymore. I would love to go back to those days. Even if we add inflation, I'll take $8 a roll color film, just because I think that the positioning that's happening is, yes, Kodak is going premium, ultra premium with their color, and it does seem like Fuji is at least trying to be the closest to the front door in regards to welcoming people in to color film photography. The thing that I am just hoping for is, like, we still need to serve, or we need to better serve that entry-level audience. Like, for example, there's a lot of, $35 kind of toy cameras and all these different ways that we're coming out with, these really cool, like, half frame cameras, and like the Ektar 35, and, just all these cool, the M35, 35 millimeter camera. Basically, I can spend, let's call it $25 to $35 and go buy a very basic point and shoot camera. And then I almost have to spend half the cost of the camera, if not more, to buy a single roll of film. And then if you're a beginner and this is your first roll of film, and then you have to go to a lab to get it processed and scanned, you're going to spend more than the cost of the camera just to produce one set of images. And so when you think about something being entry-level friendly, I don't see the marketplace going in that direction. So it's almost like, what's the point of making, cameras that are supposed to be fun to shoot and like really exciting if as soon as you buy that camera, you're signing up for about $40 of additional fees just to produce one set of 35 images, 36 images. We need that $5 film stock back and $11 processing. Sure, you can mitigate some of those costs, entry-level photographers, by doing your own development at home. But again, if you're just kind of getting into photography, you're also going to have to just start getting into chemistry as well in order to make shooting photography or shooting film photography affordable enough that it makes sense to practice. And the whole reason why I wanted to do this episode, to talk about the positioning, but really also as a follow-up topic or maybe a B story, is the fact that I don't feel like the floor is low enough to welcome people into this industry. And therefore, if we don't have the new people coming in, if we just have the prices going up, that means the audience, the supporters are being cannibalized. And from a long-term, high macro level perspective, my concern is that unless one of these companies steps in and actually gives us, a very affordable entry-level color film stock, we're going to have a hard time getting more people excited about buying film, and it's only going to be the niche. Sure, you can say, oh, film is so popular and it's coming back. And like, we got to think about economics on the global scale. The amount of film these companies are producing to try to sell, it's more than just hit influencers who really like photography and getting their audience to buy the film. We're talking millions of rolls of films needing to be sold in order to call something successful at the Kodak level. And so I'm just worried that we're not going to have enough entry-level support if the pricing keeps going the way that it is. You can make film cameras cheap, but if the film and processing is expensive, it doesn't matter how cheap you make the cameras, because people understand the economics of repeat cost. $40 every time you want to make 35 images is going to break the bank. People are going to go straight back to digital and forget film altogether. I would rather use Instagram filters than spend $40 making images every time I want to make images if I was brand new to something. Like that feels like such a tax. It's so unwelcoming. And so to anybody listening to this, I don't know if there's questions, comments, or debate to have happen here, but feel free, if you're watching this on YouTube, to leave a comment under the video. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, tune in next time and maybe I'll have some follow-up feedback comments to add to this episode. But thank you guys for sitting through 10 minutes of film, and it will be 10 minutes of film photography talk every week, rain or shine, in audio podcast form, either on PhotoMeLarry, the YouTube channel, or wherever this may be syndicated. I'm giving this a test through YouTube's podcast platform, and this is episode 1.